In a world full of voices, few have the ability to resonate across time and space like that of Jim Rohn. A master of practical wisdom and an architect of successful mindsets, his words have guided millions toward a life of purpose, success, and fulfillment. Imagine sitting by the warmth of a campfire under a starry sky. In front of you, a man with wise eyes and a calm voice begins to speak. Every phrase he utters is a spark that illuminates the darkness, a piece of advice that awakens dormant ideas, and a lesson that invites transformation. This is the experience of listening to Jim Rohn, a modern sage who reminds us that greatness is not a privilege for the few, but the result of small daily decisions made with intention. In this collection, we will explore the best quotes and advice from this visionary. Get ready to discover truths that will transform your perspective, ignite your passion for life, and provide you with the tools to build the future you've always dreamed of. Because, as Rohn said, success is not something you pursue, it is something you attract by the person you become. Be a scholar, not a follower. Don't limit yourself to doing what others say. Take an interest in what others say, then debate it, meditate on it, and consider it from all angles. Don't read a book to become a follower. Read a book and become a scholar. Words allow us to transfer thoughts from our own mind to another's. They have the power to change history, to describe the past, and to give the present meaning and substance. Words are in the mind like colors on a painter's palette. The more we have at hand, the easier it will be to create a captivating painting on the canvas. And the more we practice using all those different colors in an appropriate and unique way, the more likely we are to create a masterpiece of personal expression. There are many reasons why mastering self-expression is important. In the long run, our quality of life is largely determined by our ability to persuade and convince others, as well as to accurately convey our own thoughts and feelings to the minds of others. Effective communication is an important challenge. It cannot be mastered through a casual approach. On the contrary, we must seize every opportunity that life presents to exercise our ability to influence others. After several decades of sharing ideas with others, I am continually amazed by the extraordinary power of well-chosen words. My own life was completely transformed by words of inspiration and encouragement spoken by a man who saw in me more than I had been able to see in myself. After all, that's the greatest contribution we can make to the lives of others, allowing them to feel new emotions and see new possibilities. This audio is a collection of some of the ideas that Jim Rohn has written and spoken over the years, but little credit can be given for the originality of some of these expressions. My understanding of life and business, whatever it may be, is the result of having immersed myself in a rich variety of ideas from other people whose words help me find new ways of expressing old ideas. I hope that in this audio, you will find the words that inspire you to stand up and take a step forward. After all, it was 3 simple words spoken by a dying mother to her son that completely changed the life of a young man and transformed a country. The words, "Be someone, Abe," inspired a young man from Illinois so much that he became the 16th President of the United States. I wish you a similar journey from where you are now to where you want to go and what you want to become. I hope you have a remarkable and memorable life. Success. Success should not be chased. It should be attracted through the person you become. Success is not so much what we have, but what we are. Success is made up of 20% ability and 80% strategy. Success is in the opposite direction of normal attraction. Success is the study of the obvious. In school, everyone should take the courses Obvious 1 and Obvious 2. The average person looks for ways to avoid things. The transformers look for ways to carry things forward. Experience. Take the time to collect from the past so you can benefit from your experiences and invest them in the future. Don't let the process of learning from your own experiences take too long. If you've been doing things wrong for 10 years, I'd say that's enough. Life is not just the passing of time. Life is the accumulation of experiences and their intensity. It's easy to carry the past as a burden instead of a school. It's easy to let it overwhelm us instead of educating us. Be like a sponge when it comes to every new experience. If you want to express it well, first you must be able to absorb it well. Fascination. Fascination goes one step further than interest. The interested person wants to know if something works or not. The fascinated person wants to learn how it works. Learn to turn frustration into fascination. You'll learn more by being fascinated with life than by being frustrated with it. I'm on my way to the airport to catch a plane that leaves in 45 minutes. The traffic isn't moving an inch. Now I'm fascinated, not frustrated, but fascinated. But I must admit, this doesn't always work. Develop a childlike fascination with life and people. Happiness. Learn to be happy with what you have while you get everything you want. Happiness is not achieved by chance. It is not something you ask for. Happiness is something you design. How sad it is to see a father with money but no joy. That father studied economics but never studied happiness. The greatest source of unhappiness comes from within. Happiness is the art of learning to extract joy from the very substance of life. Happiness is not something you leave for the future. It is something you design for the present. Personal philosophy. The key factor that will determine your financial future is not the economy. The key factor is your philosophy. Don't borrow your plan from someone else. Develop your own philosophy, and it will take you to unique places. If you learn to properly tie your sails, the wind that blows will help you reach the dreams you desire, the income you want, and the treasures of the mind, the wallet, and the spirit that you seek. Your philosophy will determine whether you decide on discipline or continue with mistakes. Your philosophy is the sum total of everything you know, and what you've determined has value. Economic disaster begins with the philosophy of doing less and wanting more. If you want to correct your mistakes, you must start by correcting your philosophy. The only thing worse than not having read a book in the last 90 days is not having read a book in the last 90 days and thinking it doesn't matter. Your personal philosophy is the primary factor that determines how your life unfolds. The initial response a person gives tells a lot about their personal philosophy. Only human beings are capable of rearranging their life on the day they want by refining their philosophy. Failure. The formula for disaster is I could do it, plus I should do it, plus I don't want to do it. Failure is not a singular apocalyptic event. Failure doesn't happen overnight. On the contrary, failure consists of a few mistakes in judgment, repeated daily. Don't approach life informally. Informality leads to loss. It's a shame that failures don't give seminars. Wouldn't it be valuable? If you know someone who has spent 40 years wasting their life, you could just say, Juan, if I bring my journal and promise to take good notes, would you spend a day with me? The inevitable thing is to find yourself 200 feet from Niagara Falls in a little boat with no motor or oars. Government. It can be dangerous to weaken the strong to strengthen the weak. Be careful with those who claim to take care of you, lest your caregivers become your jailers. Taxes are the way we feed the golden goose, freedom, democracy, and business. Some say, well, that goose eats too much. It's probably true, but a fat goose is better than no goose at all. Tyranny knows no limits in its appetites. Have you ever eaten a government cookie? The true genius that makes a market flourish does not come from the government. It comes from the popular genius. An ancient text asks, would you entrust your city's government to a man incapable of governing his own spirit? Sometimes we do. You can't base your life on what the government does or how your tax money is spent. You have to vote wisely, and then choose your own course. Vote wisely, and then take charge of your own life. Of course, the government has a few pounds to lose, but can't the same be said about all of us? Let's not let one appetite accuse another. Ideas. If you intend to find, you must search. It is very rare to be interrupted by a good idea. Ideas can transform your life. Sometimes all you need to open the door is one more good idea. When information is organized, ideas arise. When we come across a good idea, we must weigh it carefully in our mental balance before determining its value. One of the secrets to success is ideas combined with inspiration. There is nothing more powerful for your future than being a collector of information. That's called doing your homework. Ignorance. Ignorance is not happiness. Ignorance is poverty. Ignorance is destruction. Ignorance is tragedy. And ignorance is disease. All of these come from ignorance. What is unknown does harm. The worst kind of arrogance is arrogance born of ignorance. There is an old writing that says, let the one who wishes to be ignorant be ignorant. But I removed the last 3 words, and now when I read it, it says, let the one who wishes to be ignorant be. Economic independence. To reach economic independence, you must convert part of your income into capital, turn the capital into business, turn the business into profit, turn the profit into investment, and turn the investment into economic independence. Part of the legacy we receive from this society is the opportunity to become economically independent. If you let your company take care of your retirement, your future income will be reduced to a fifth. If you take care of it yourself, you can multiply your future income by 5. I remember telling my mentor, if I had more money, I'd have a better plan. He quickly responded, I'd say that if you had a better plan, you'd have more money. It's not about the amount, it's about the plan. If you showed me your current financial plan, would I be so excited that I'd take it around the country as a subject for lectures? If the answer is no, here's my question. Why not? Why shouldn't you have a better financial plan to take you where you want to go? Economic independence is the ability to live off the profits produced by your own personal resources. Shortly after meeting my mentor, he asked me, how much money have you saved and invested in the last 6 years? I said none. Then he asked, who convinced you of the virtues of that plan? It's better to be a lender than a spender. Influence association. Influence has 2 parts. First, influence is powerful, and second, influence is subtle. Of course, you wouldn't let anyone push you off course with a shove, but you might let someone nudge you off course with an elbow without even realizing it. We need different kinds of information, different influences, and different voices. You can't find all the answers to life and business questions from one person or one source. Attitude is largely formed from influence and association. Don't spend most of your time with voices that don't matter. Turn off the shallow voices so you have more time to tune into the valuable ones. A no creates distance between you and bad influences. You constantly need to ask yourself these questions. Who am I with? What are they doing to me? What are they making me read? What are they making me say? Where are they directing me? What are they making me think? And most importantly, what are they turning me into? Then ask yourself the big question, and is that okay? Don't gather with an easy group. They won't make you grow. Go where expectations and performance standards are high. There are people you can afford to spend minutes with, but not hours. Approach people who have something valuable to share with you. Their impact will continue to affect your life long after they have gone. Book/library/reading. Almost every home worth more than $250,000 has a library. That should tell us something. Everything you need for your best success and future is already written. And do you know something? It's all available. You just need to go to the library. But unbelievably, less than 3% of people have a library card. Wow, they must be expensive. No, they are free. And there's probably a library in every neighborhood. Skip a meal if necessary, but don't skip reading a book. Some people say it's okay to read cheap novels, because sometimes you find something valuable in them. You can also find a crust of bread in a garbage can if you look hard enough. But there's a better way to do it. Some people read so little that they suffer from mental rickets. It's not what the book costs you. It's what it will cost you if you don't read it. Now I have one of the best libraries. I admit I haven't read everything in it, but I feel smarter just by walking in it. Books are so easy to find and so easy to buy. Today, a paperback costs only $6 or $7. You can borrow that from your kids. Don't just read the easy stuff. It might entertain you, but it will never make you grow. The book that isn't read doesn't help. Leadership management. The challenge of leadership is being strong but not rude, being kind but not weak, being daring but not abusive, being considerate but not lazy, being humble but not shy, being proud but not arrogant, having humor but not foolishness. You must learn to help those who deserve it, not just those who need it. Life responds to merit, not to need. My mentor told me, let's do it, not go and do it yourself. How powerful it is when we are told, let's go. Good people are found, not made. I recently read a headline that said, we don't teach our own to be kind. We simply hire kind people. Wow, what a smart shortcut. A good goal of leadership is to help those who are doing things wrong, make them right, and help those who are doing things right, do them even better. If you persist long enough in sharing a good idea, eventually it will fall into the hands of good people. Leadership is the challenge of becoming something above average. Learn to help others with something other than just working. Help them live. In leadership classes, we teach this. Don't send your ducks to a school to learn how to be eagles because it won't do them any good. After school, the duck will see its first rabbit and become friends with it. Sometimes the ones who need help the most are the least inclined to ask for it. Start where the people are before trying to take them where you want them to go. Leaders need to understand that some will inevitably sell themselves to the forces of evil. Don't waste time wondering why. Use it to figure out who they are. Open the way with your example and personal philosophy. Leaders should not be naive. I used to say liars shouldn't lie. What a sad way to waste words. I found that liars must lie. That's why we call them liars, because they lie. What else can we expect them to do? The administrator helps others to see themselves as they are. The leader helps them see themselves as better than they are. When dealing with others, I generally opt for the most obvious approach. When someone tells me, "This always happens to me, and that always happens to me. Why do these things always happen to me?" I simply say, "I have no idea. I don't know. What I do know is that that kind of thing tends to happen to people like you." It's in everyone's best interest to be guided a little. When you're in the middle of the game, it's hard to think of everything. The basics, fundamentals. Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. There are no new fundamentals. You should be a little suspicious of anyone who says, "I have a new fundamental." That's like being invited to tour an industry where antiques are made. Some things must be done every day. Taking 7 baths on Saturday night instead of 1 a day won't solve the problem. Success is nothing more than a few disciplines practiced daily, while failure consists simply of a few mistakes in judgment repeated daily. It is the accumulated weight of our disciplines and judgments that leads us to fortune or failure. Goals, setting goals. Goals, no one knows what can be achieved when one is inspired by them. No one knows what can be done when one believes in them. And no one knows what will happen when one takes them as a basis for action. If you start working on your goals will start working for you. If you start working on your plan will start working for you. Everything good we build ends up building us. Don't set goals too low. Those who don't need much don't become much. We all have the choice, earn a living or design our life. We all need many large, long-term goals to help us overcome immediate obstacles. The best reason for setting a goal lies in the transformation that achieving it brings. The personal transformation will always be much more valuable than what we've accomplished. When Andrew Carnegie died, they found a note where he had written one of his life's great goals: to spend the first half of his life accumulating money and the second half giving it away. Some are troubled by those difficult days because the days are all they have. They haven't designed, described, or defined anything about the future. Time management. Time is our most precious asset. However, we tend to waste it, kill it, and spend it instead of investing it. It is equally counterproductive to spend too much time on minor things as it is to spend too little time on important things. Time is worth more than money. You can always get more money, but you can't get more time. Never start the day until you have fully planned it in writing. Learn to say no. Don't let your mouth overload your back. Time is the best-kept secret of the wealthy. One thing must dominate, and another must serve. Either you govern your day, or the day governs you. Either you govern your business, or the business governs you. Learn to separate the fundamental from the secondary. Many people fail simply because they insist on secondary things. Don't confuse movement with achievement. It's easy to deceive yourself by being busy. The question is, busy doing what? Days are expensive. When one day ends, it's one less day you have left to spend. So make sure to spend each day wisely. Sometimes you need to stay in touch, but out of reach of others. Words, vocabulary. The two great phrases from antiquity are "here's" and "beware." Vocabulary allows us to interpret and express ourselves. If you have a limited vocabulary, you will also have a limited vision and a limited future. The foundation for influencing others lies in using well-chosen words, tinged with carefully calculated emotion. It's fine to send flowers, but don't let the flowers say everything. Flowers have a limited vocabulary. All flowers can tell you is that someone is thinking of you. Words have two main functions. They provide intellectual food and generate light for understanding and awareness, asking/believing/deciding. By asking, you are already starting to receive. Make sure not to go to the sea with a spoon. At least bring a bucket so the kids don't laugh at you. There's no better opportunity to receive than to feel gratitude for what you already have. Gratitude opens windows of opportunity for ideas to flow toward you. Determination says, "I will do it." This man says, "I will climb that mountain. I've been told it's very tall, very far, very steep, very rocky, and very difficult. but that mountain is mine and I will climb it. Soon you will see me waving from the summit, or dead from exhaustion along the path. Indignation and determination are two of the great emotions that lead to change. Perseverance, persistence. It takes time to build a business masterpiece. It takes time to build a life, and it takes time to develop and grow. So give yourself, your company, and your family the time they require and deserve. Most people are incredibly impatient. Someone once said that the shortest interval occurs between the moment the traffic light turns green and the moment the first horn honks. The twin killers of success are impatience and greed. How long should effort last until it works? Some plant in the spring and leave by summer. If you've committed to a season, stay until the end. You don't have to stay your whole life, but at least stay until you see the end. Planning. I find it fascinating that almost everyone plans their vacation with more care than their life. Perhaps it's because it's easier to escape than to change. If you don't design a life plan for yourself, it's very likely that you will end up in someone else's plan. And what do you think they'll have prepared for you? Nothing spectacular. The reason why almost everyone looks at the future with apprehension instead of excitement is because they haven't properly designed it. This man says, when you work where I work, it's late by the time you get home. You have to eat something, watch some TV, and go to bed. You can't spend half the night making plans. And that's the same guy who's behind on car payments. Positive, negative. Learn as much from the negative as from the positive, from failures as much as from successes. Life, in all its uniqueness, would not be life without both the negative and the positive. That's why it's important to study both seriously. Life is partly positive and partly negative. Suppose you were to listen to a symphony orchestra and they only played high, cheerful notes. Would you leave after a while? Let me hear the thunder of the bass, the clash of the cymbals, and the minor keys. Life is an accumulation process. We accumulate debt or value, regret or capital, relationships. The fact that one person cares about another represents the greatest value of life. You should cultivate your family and love like a garden. Constantly, one must rely on time, love, and imagination for a relationship to keep flourishing and growing. The best gift you can give someone is your own personal development. I used to say, if you take care of me, I'll take care of you. Now I say, I will take care of myself for you, if you take care of yourself for me. The walls we build around ourselves to keep sadness out also keep joy out. You can't succeed alone. It's hard to find a rich hermit. Reputation. Each of us must commit to maintaining the reputation of everyone else, and we all must commit to maintaining each other's reputation. Accuracy builds credibility. One lie is enough to contaminate your testimony. The Bible offers a series of human stories that are used as examples. Do what they did. Another set of human stories serves as a warning. Don't do what they did. So, if your story ever makes it into one of these books, make sure it's used as an example, not as a warning. Personal responsibility. Don't become your own victim. Forget about the thief lurking in the alley. What about the thief you have in your head? What happens is not what determines most of your future. What happens to all of us. What matters is what you do with what happens. You say, the country is falling apart. That's like cursing the earth, the seed, the sun, and the rain, which are all you have. Don't curse everything you have. When you get your own personal planet, you can fix it all as you like. But this one, you have to accept as it comes. Stay away from the crowd that represents 97%. Don't use their excuses. Take charge of your own life. Listen to advice, but don't take orders. Only give yourself orders. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Since I will not be a slave to anyone, I will not be a master of anyone." You must accept personal responsibility. You can't change circumstances, seasons, or the wind, but you can change yourself, that you can take charge of. You can't take charge of the constellations, but each one is free to decide whether or not to read, to develop new skills, and to take new classes. The salary you receive is not the responsibility of your employer, it's your own responsibility. Your employer doesn't determine your value, you do. It's easier to blame the government than to look at your own philosophy. Results. At the end of each day, you should listen to the recording of your performance. The results should be either a source of praise or a spur to action. The highest expression of maturity happens at harvest time. That's when we must learn to gather without complaining if the quantity is small, and to gather without apologizing if the quantity is large. Life demands that we make significant progress within a reasonable time frame. That's why fourth-grade chairs are so small. You wouldn't fit in them at 25. There are things you don't need to know how they work, just that they do. While some are studying the roots, others are harvesting the fruit. It simply depends on which end of the process you want to participate in. Health. Some don't succeed simply because they don't feel well. Some people take better care of their pets than themselves. The animals run like the wind, and they can barely climb the stairs. Make sure your exterior is a good reflection of your interior. Treat your body as a temple, not a shed. The temple and the mind work together. Your body must be a good support system for the mind and spirit. If you take good care of it, your body can take you where you want to go with the vigor, strength, energy, and vitality you need to get there. Take good care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. Service. A well-served customer could be more valuable than $10,000 in advertising. Good service multiplies sales. If you take good care of your customers, they will open doors for you that you could never open yourself. How do you deserve a fortune? Serve fortunes. You have to do more than what you're paid for, because that's where the fortune is. He who serves many places himself in line to receive great things, great wealth, great profits, great satisfaction, great reputation, and great joy. Seeding harvest. You need to learn to do one of two things well, either plant in the spring or beg in the fall. God has the hardest part of the business. What if, instead of planting the seed, you had to make the tree? Now that's something worth staying up all night over, trying to solve that problem. Plant, don't ask for miracles. One of my good friends always says, things don't happen by chance, they happen by justice. The earth says, don't bring me your need, bring me your seed. Sophistication. Almost everyone only aims to get to the end of the day. Sophisticated people learn to move forward from the day. Sophistication is knowing the difference between a treasure and a trinket. Don't spend large amounts of money on trivial things. In the past 10 years, this man has bought 2 tons of donuts and only 2 books, and the books are mostly filled with illustrations. Sophisticated people don't retire early. This man says, yes, but I want to avoid traffic congestion. Now that's a skill worth having, the ability to avoid traffic. You don't need $1 million to learn to distinguish between a bottle of good wine and a Pepsi-Cola. Sophistication is measured in study, not in quantity. One of the first signs of sophistication is not giving in to every impulse, but rather educating your emotions to learn to behave. Money doesn't make us sophisticated. Only study and practice make us sophisticated. Even people of modest means can become sophisticated because it's a matter of study and practice. How much does a night with the symphony orchestra cost? About $30. You say, the poor don't have $30 to spend on the symphony. Well, guess what? They do. It's only 30 chocolate bars. We need to teach our children not to spend money dollar by dollar. If you spend money dollar by dollar, you'll end up accumulating trinkets instead of treasures. You can't buy much of value for just $1 at a time. Problem solving. To solve any problem, here are 3 questions you should ask yourself. First, what could I do? Second, what could I read? And third, who could I ask? Usually the real problem is just 2 or 3 questions away from the surface. If you want to inquire about someone else's problem, know that almost no one will reveal the real problem on the first question. Neil Armstrong once said, to get to the top, you only have to solve 2 problems. First, how to get there, and second, how to get back. The key is not to start until both problems are solved. Never attack a problem without proposing a solution at the same time. The best place to solve a problem is on paper. Fear, doubt, negativity. We must all wage an intense and ongoing battle against the force that constantly pulls us down. If we're not careful, the plagues and weeds of negativity will take over the garden and take away everything of value. Humility is a virtue, timidity is an illness. If you spend 5 minutes complaining, you've just wasted 5 minutes. If you keep complaining, before long, they will take you to an economic desert and leave you there to drown in the dust of your own sorrow. The weeds in your garden cannot be treated gently. Weeds must be hated to death. Don't deal gently with the weeds. Weeds must be annihilated. Courage. First, calculate the cost. Don't pay too high a price for pursuing secondary values. The main value in life is not in what we get, but in what we become. That's why I wish to pay a fair price for everything of value. Whether I have to pay for it or earn it, it makes me something. If I get it for free, it makes me nothing. Anything of value must be earned through competition, and after it's earned, it must be defended. Don't give up your virtue or your value to get something you think you desire. Judas got the money but threw it away and hanged himself because of how bad he felt about himself. Things of value, by definition, must be expensive. If valuable things didn't cost much, we probably wouldn't appreciate them. Sales. To succeed in sales, simply talk to many people every day. And here's the stimulating part. There are plenty of people. Practice is as valuable as a sale. A sale earns you a living, but skill can make you rich. Sales is a direct business between two people. You can't send a manual to make the sale. Sales manuals don't have legs or a voice. In the sales profession, real work begins after the sale. Salespeople must learn from their children. What does the word no mean to a child? Almost nothing. Even if you're a rookie in sales, your lack of skill can be compensated by quantity. Truth. When it comes to truth, there are few among us who are authorities on the matter. The most we can do is approach what we hope the truth is, or what we think it is. That's why the best way to approach the truth is to say, "It seems to me." Statements are fine as long as what is being stated is the truth. If you are penniless, for example, the best statement is, "I have no money." If the truth is not enough, put more effort into presenting it. Sincerity is not proof of truth. It's important not to make this mistake. That person must be right because they are so sincere. It's possible to be sincerely wrong. We can only judge truth with truth, sincerity with sincerity. Look for someone willing to share the truth with you. Living with style. Living with style is the art of discovering unique ways of living. Let others live a limited life, but not you. Let others fight over small things, but not you. Let others cry over small blows, but not you. Let others put their future in the hands of others, but not you. Some have learned to make a lot, but haven't learned to live well. Living with style is not a matter of quantity, it's a matter of practice. Earn all the money you can as soon as you can. The sooner you get the money out of the way, the sooner you can focus on the rest of your style issues. Self-interest clarified. The instinct for survival tends to lead us to poverty. If you want to lead many, be faithful when there are only a few. This person says, "Oh, if I had a large organization, then I'd put all my effort into it. But I only have a few and I don't even know where they are." If you only have a few distributors, a few employees, that is the moment to sharpen your communication skills and give it your full effort. When there are only a few, push with all your strength. You must make the personal investment in the present to prepare for the future. Personal investment in education, personal investment in discipline, personal investment in discovery, personal investment in being a good family person. Make it in those early years so that by then you'll be in a position to be entrusted with greater treasures of fortune, people, and accumulated interest. Good and evil. Every leader must understand the fable of the frog and the scorpion. The story goes that the frog and the scorpion arrived at the edge of a river almost at the same time. The frog was about to jump into the river and swim across. The scorpion arrived and said to the frog, "Lady Frog, I see you're about to swim across the river. Since I am a scorpion and can't swim, would you let me ride on your back so you can cross the river and drop me off on the other side? I would appreciate it." The frog looked at the scorpion and said, "No way. You are a scorpion, and scorpions sting frogs and kill them. I would get halfway across with you on my back and you would sting me and I would die. Do you think I'm crazy? No way." The scorpion said, "Hold on a moment. With your frog brain, you're not thinking. If I sting you halfway across, of course, you would drown and die, but so would I because I'm a scorpion and I don't know how to swim. That would be pretty stupid, so I won't do it. I just want to get to the other side." The frog considered the scorpion's reasoning and said, "That makes sense, get on." And so the story goes that the scorpion climbed onto the frog's back. They began crossing the river, and of course halfway across, the scorpion stung the frog. Both were about to drown. The frog couldn't believe what had happened and said to the scorpion, "Why did you do that? I'm about to die and drown, but you too, why did you do it?" The scorpion said, "Well, because I'm a scorpion." So every leader must understand the fable of the frog and the scorpion. There are shepherds and there are sheep and there are wolves. A wise leader must understand that there are wolves so clever they have learned to disguise themselves as sheep. But don't miss the argument of the great drama of life called good and evil. It's part of the test of leadership ability. Success is easy. Often, many people ask me how I achieved success in those 6 years, while many of my acquaintances did not. The answer is simple. The things that were easy for me to do were easy for them not to do. For me, it was easy to set goals that could change my life. For them, it was easy not to set them. For me, it was easy to read books that could influence my thoughts and ideas. For them, it was easy not to read them. For me, it was easy to attend classes and seminars and get close to other successful people. They said that probably it didn't really matter if they didn't do it. If I had to summarize all of this, I would say that what was easy for me to do was easy for them not to do. 6 years later, I am a millionaire, and they are still blaming the economy, the government, and the politics of their company. However, they stopped doing the basic and easy things. Motivation. Motivation is a mystery. Why is there a salesperson who at 7 in the morning is meeting with their first potential client, while another salesperson is still getting out of bed at 11? I don't know. It's part of the mysteries of life. I gave a lecture to 1,000 people. One walks out and says, "I'm going to change my life." Another walks out yawning and murmuring, "I've heard this before." Why does this happen? Why are they not equally affected? Another mystery. The millionaire tells 1,000 people, "I read this book, and it pushed me along the path to wealth." Guess how many go out to find the book? Very few. Isn't it incredible? Why don't they all go look for the book? Mysteries of life. My suggestion would be to move away from the 90% who don't go look for the book and get closer to the 10% who do. Living with style. In reality, it's not difficult to learn the art of living well. Even people of modest means can experience a sophisticated lifestyle. They simply save some money from sodas to buy a bottle of good wine. They stop going to the movies and go to the theater. Saving money all year, they gather what they need to take a trip to Europe or buy a good piece of art. Don't spend all your money coin by coin. Save and buy something special, something good, something of lasting value, or something that will bring you good memories for a lifetime. Remember, all that candy money can add up to a small fortune. A sophisticated person cares more about quality than quantity. A few treasures are worth more than a house full of junk. Activity. Sometimes we don't ask for immediate productivity. What we ask for at the beginning is activity. Now, it's easy to check activity. If someone joins the sales company and has 10 visits scheduled for the first week, it's easy to ask them on Friday, "Juan, how many visits did you make?" Juan replies, "Well." You say, "Juan, well, doesn't fit in this box I have here." And Juan starts telling a story. You say, "Juan, I made this box really small so your stories won't fit. I just need a number of activities from 1 to 10. If the result of activities isn't good the first week, that's an indication. You can try another week. Ultimately, you have to decide how much you're going to move forward by forming a team with someone who is lacking concrete activities. How to solve problems. One of the unique advantages of a journal is that it provides us with an effective way to understand things, understand life, understand people, understand business dilemmas, and above all, understand ourselves. There's something magical about putting a problem in writing. It's almost like by writing down what's going wrong, you start to discover new ways to fix it. When you write, you create a space between the problem and yourself, and in this space, solutions can grow. Writing down the facts and circumstances helps us clarify exactly what is happening. When you explain a situation in writing, you tend to stick to the facts more, be more precise, and certainly be more realistic. Once things are truly seen for what they are, the path to improving them becomes clear. Economic independence for teenagers. If a child has $1, what should they do with it? The way to answer this question is very important because it can determine what they will do with their money for the rest of their life. You say, "It's just a child and it's just $1. That's called making a huge lack of good judgment. If the child wants to spend the whole $1, you need to tell them, "No, you can't spend the whole $1. The child asks why. You say, "Let me show you why." And you take them across the town and ask, "Would you like to live there?" That's where people live who spend everything they earn. There's nothing better than a visual illustration to explain something to a child. Show them the tragic consequences of spending everything you have. The kids will come back home with their eyes wide open. Then ask them, "Would you like to live like that?" The child replies, "No way." And then you explain, "That's why you can't spend the whole $1. How will my life change? How will things be in the year 3000? They will be more or less the same as they always have been. Aren't you glad I told you this? Not everyone has the opportunity to hear it. The tide rises, and then what? it goes back down. That's how it has been for at least 6,000 years of history. The sun rises, and then what? It gets dark. The season after autumn is which? Winter, of course. Every time, without fail, for at least 6,000 years. And that won't change. The 6,000 years of history are interpreted like this: opportunity along with difficulty. And that won't change. So, you ask, how will my life change? Well, when you change. The process of change. Change comes from one of two sources. The first, desperation, can push us to change. Sometimes circumstances can get out of control to the point of almost making us abandon the search for solutions, as life seems full of unsolvable questions. But this overwhelming feeling of desperation is what finally pushes us to seek solutions. Desperation is the inevitable result of months or years of accumulated neglect, leading us to a point where, out of urgent need, we are induced to seek immediate answers to the accumulated challenges life presents us. The second source that pushes us to make changes in our life is inspiration. We hope this is where you are now, about to feel inspired to make fundamental and impressive changes in your life. Spring. After the turbulent winter comes the season of activity and opportunity we call spring. In the season to head out to the fertile fields of life with seed, knowledge, commitment, and determined effort. It's not a time for delays or meditating on the possibilities of failure. It's foolish to let spring pass by while insisting on remembering the good harvest of last autumn, or the failure of last autumn's harvest, despite the huge efforts of the previous spring. It's a natural characteristic of spring to present itself very briefly, or lull us into inactivity with its abundant beauty. Don't stop too long to soak in the aroma of the blooming buds, lest you wake up to find that spring has gone and you still have a sack full of seeds. Earthly and vanity reasons. Wouldn't it be wonderful to feel motivated to achieve success for a noble goal like benevolence? I must confess, however, that in my early years of struggling for success, my motivation was much more earthly. My reason for achieving success was something more elementary. In fact, it falls under what I like to call earthly and vanity reasons. An earthly and vanity reason is one that anyone can have, any day, at any time, and it can change our life. And let me tell you what happened to me. Shortly after meeting my mentor, I was resting at home when the doorbell rang. It was a timid and hesitant knock. When I opened the door, I looked down and saw a pair of large brown eyes staring at me. In front of me was a little girl, about 10 years old, with a fragile appearance. She said, with all the courage and determination she could muster, that she was selling Girl Scout cookies. It was a masterful pitch. Several flavors, a special offer, and only $2 per box. How could I refuse? Finally, with a big smile and a lot of politeness, she asked me to buy some, and I wanted to, I really did. If it weren't for one reason, I didn't have the $2. What a shame. Here I am, a father, a college graduate, employed, and yet I didn't have $2 to call my own. Naturally, I couldn't tell the little girl with the big brown eyes that. So, I applied the best remedy I had. I lied. I told her, "Thank you, but I already bought Girl Scout cookies this year. I still have plenty at home." Now, that was simply not true, but it was the only thing I could think of to get out of the situation. The little girl said, "Okay, sir, thank you very much." And with that, she turned and went on her way. I stood there watching her for what seemed like a very long time. Finally, I closed the door behind me, leaned against it, and shouted, "I don't want to keep living like this. I'm tired of being broke, and I'm tired of lying. I will never again experience the shame of not having money in my pocket." That was the day I promised myself that I would earn enough to always have several $100s in my pocket at all times. Abandonment. One of the reasons why many don't have what they want is abandonment. We've all heard the saying, "The early bird catches the worm." Well, here's a good question. What if it's true? Wouldn't it be easy to do that? Wake up early every day. Here's the problem. It's also easy not to do it. Abandonment starts like an infection and ends up being a disease. Cardiovascular problems alone cause over 1,000 funerals daily in the US, and 90% of the problem is due to abandonment. Activity. Work. Wisdom and strong feelings must be translated into work. You don't achieve the miracle of the seed and the earth by affirmation. The miracle is only achieved through work. Make rest a necessity, not a goal. Rest only as much as necessary to regain strength. Without constant activity, the threats of life will soon outweigh your values. The few who act are the envy of the many who settle for just watching. For every promise, there's a price to pay. Management. How much should you earn? As much as you can. It doesn't matter if you earn $10,000 or $1 million or euros a year, as long as you've done your best. This man says, if I had a fortune, I'd take good care of it. But I only have a salary and I don't know where it goes. Wouldn't you love it if that man were the manager of your company? If you want to have power and influence over many, be loyal and disciplined when there are only a few. If you have a few employees, a few distributors, a few people, that's the time to stay in touch and be fully absorbed when there are just a few. Start from wherever you are and with whatever you have. Change, choice, decision. I used to say, gosh, I wish things would change. Then I learned that the only way things will change for me is when I change. Don't say, if I could, I'd do it. Say, I can, I will. Sometimes it doesn't matter which side of the fence you get down on. What matters most is getting down. You can't move forward without making decisions. Usually, we're forced to change for one of two reasons: inspiration or desperation. If you don't like things as they are, change them. You're not a tree. Decision-making sometimes feels like a civil war inside. One of the best ways to start turning your life around is to do what shows up on your mental list of things I should do. Indecision is the thief of opportunity. All forms of life seem to strive to the maximum, except humans. How high does a tree grow? As high as it can. Humans, on the other hand, have been granted the dignity of choosing. You can choose to be the best or you can choose to be less. Why not stretch to the full measure of the challenge and see how much you can do? You may not change your destiny overnight, but you can change the course of your day overnight. Capacities. Don't ask for things to be easier. Ask to be better. Don't ask for fewer problems. Ask for more ability. Don't ask for fewer challenges. Ask for more wisdom. You either need to modify your dreams or increase your capabilities. You can cut a tree with a hammer, but it'll take about 30 days. If you change the hammer for an axe, you can cut it in about 30 minutes. The difference between 30 days and 30 minutes is in the training. The key to life is training yourself to the point where you can do things that are rewarding. Learn to hide your need and show your capability. Career market. My father taught me to always do more than what you're paid for, as an investment in the future. It doesn't matter if you're there for 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years, as long as you leave the place better than you found it. Don't bring your need to the market, bring your ability. If you don't feel well, tell the doctor, not the market. If you need money, go to the bank, not the market. We're paid to bring value to the market. It takes time to bring value to the market, but we're paid for the value, not the time. The biggest problem with going on strike for more money is this: you can't get rich by demand. If you make a sale, you can make a living. If you make an investment of time and good service in a customer, you can make a fortune. Don't let your business or your job just give you something. Make it into something. In the market, just like in the classroom, it's noticeable when you don't do your homework. Your starting point in the market is not where you have to stay. When you enjoy what you do, your worst day is better than the best day of someone who doesn't enjoy it. Kids. Kids are curious. Kids watch ants while adults crush them. How many languages can a child learn? As many as you have time to teach them. Even kids can start the process of gaining financial independence. Kids can make a profit long before they can earn a legitimate salary. Of course, kids should pay taxes. Tell little Johnny that if he wants to ride his bike on the sidewalk instead of the mud, he has to pay 3 more cents when he buys a candy bar. Kids should have 2 bikes, one for riding and one for renting. Communication, persuasion. The goal of effective communication should be for the listener to say, "Me too," instead of "What about me?" Learn to express yourself, not to impress. It's not so much the subject matter that is covered, but the way it is covered. Be brief in the part of your presentation that relates to logic and reasoning. There are probably 1,000 things to say about a car, but not all of them are necessary to make a decision. Half a dozen is enough. It's better to understate than to exaggerate. Let others be surprised when they see that it was more than you promised and easier than you said. To achieve effective communication, be brief. Jesus said, "Follow me." That's called brevity. He could be brief because of everything he was and had to say. You can't say what you don't know. You can't share what you don't feel. You can't translate what you don't have. and you can't give what you don't possess. To give and share, and for it to be effective, you must first have it. Good communication starts with good preparation. Effective communication consists of 20% of what one knows and 80% of what one thinks about what they know. One is powerful when what they say is barely the tip of the iceberg of what they know. Just communicating helps you get ahead, but if you communicate with skill, you can achieve miracles. Don't confuse courtesy with consent. True persuasion comes from putting more of yourself into everything you say. Words have their effect. Words charged with emotion have a powerful effect. Be careful not to use insider jargon with the rest of the world. Giving, sharing, generosity. It's best to begin the discipline of generosity with small amounts. It's easy to give 10 cents from $1. It's harder to give $100,000 from $1 million. Giving is better than receiving because the process of receiving starts with giving. Nothing forms character more than generosity. Here's the exciting part of sharing ideas with others. If you share a new idea with 10 people, they hear it once, and you hear it 10 times. Sharing makes us bigger than we are. The more you spill, the more life will pour back onto you. Someone says, "Well, I can't afford to worry about others. The most I can do is take care of myself." Well then, you will always be poor. What you give becomes an investment that will return multiplied at some future time. When someone shares, everyone wins. It doesn't matter the amount you give. What matters is what that amount represents in terms of your own life. Only by giving will you be able to receive more than you already have. Debate. A good idea is refined through debate. That's why we have two main parties in Congress. Someone says, "I have a great idea for the country." We say, "Great, put it on the table and let's debate it." And we begin the debate by questioning the person who has this extraordinary idea. By the third question they say, "I withdraw my great idea. I forgot those 3 questions." There will be plenty of time later to discuss new ideas. The key is to take notes carefully first and then debate. Always be willing to consider both sides of the discussion. Understanding the other side is the best way to strengthen your own. We must teach our children to debate important life issues. Debate strengthens their convictions and allows them to defend themselves against the ideologies they will encounter. Personal development. Income almost never exceeds personal development. What you achieve directly depends on what you have become. The great challenge is to become everything you are capable of becoming. It's incredible what transforms the spirit when human potential is developed to the fullest and one stretches to the limit. Woe to the man who inherits $1 million and is not a millionaire. Here's what would be unfortunate. If your income grew and you didn't, to attract attractive people, you must be attractive. To attract powerful people, you must be powerful. To attract the determined, you must be determined. Instead of trying to transform others, try to transform yourself. If you transform, you can attract. The most important question to ask at work is not, "What am I receiving?" The most important question to ask at work is, "What am I becoming?" It's hard to keep what you haven't achieved through personal development. After you become a millionaire, you can give all your money away. Because what's important is not the $1 million or euros. What's important is the person you have become in the process of becoming a millionaire. Desire, motivation. Humans have an amazing ability to get exactly what they need, but it's different to need and want. The best motivation is self-motivation. This man says, "I wish someone would come and wake up my interest." But what if no one comes? In life you need a better plan than that. When you know what you want and want it with enough passion, you will find a way to get it. Motivation alone is not enough. If you take an idiot and motivate him, the result is a motivated idiot. Without a sense of urgency, desire loses its value. Journals. Be a collector of good ideas, but don't trust your memory. The best place to store all the ideas and information you find along the way is your journal. The reason I spend so much money on my journals is to pressure myself to look for valuable things to fill them with. There are 3 things you should leave as a legacy: your photographs, your library, and your personal journals. Without a doubt, these things will be worth more to future generations than your furniture. Don't use your mind as a filing cabinet. Use it to solve problems and find answers. Good ideas, archive them in your journal. Discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and success. We all have to suffer one of 2 pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is that discipline weighs a few ounces and regret, tons. One discipline always leads to another. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of illusion. You don't have to change many things to achieve a decisive effect. A few simple disciplines can have a huge impact on the outcome of your life in the next 90 days, not to mention the next 12 months or the next 3 years. All disciplines affect each other. The wrong man says, "That's the only area I failed in." False. Every failure affects the others. Thinking otherwise is naive. Discipline is the foundation upon which every success is built. Lack of discipline inevitably leads to failure. Discipline holds the potential to create future miracles. The best time to establish discipline is when the idea is strong. Economy, wealth. The difference in philosophy between the rich and the poor boils down to this. The rich invest first and spend what remains, while the poor spend first and invest whatever is left, if anything. I used to lament things are too expensive. But my mentor redefined the problem, saying, "It's not that things are expensive, the issue is you can't afford them." That was the moment I realized the problem wasn't with things. The problem was with me. While many people know ways to make a living, the truly fascinating endeavor is learning how to create a fortune. The Bible notes it's difficult for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven, but it never says it's impossible. Education, learning. Formal education can help you earn a living, but self-education can lead you to a fortune. To attract the life you desire, you must apply what you know. Learning is the foundation of wealth, health, and spirituality. It's the spark that ignites the miraculous process of transformation. If someone is on the wrong path, motivation alone won't help. They'll simply arrive at the wrong destination faster. What they truly need is education to guide them to a better path. Don't undervalue your mind, but don't overestimate it either. Instead, sharpen your curiosity about 2 key subjects: life and people. Genuine interest is the only way to truly absorb knowledge. Education should always come before motivation. While in school, make it your mission to gather all the information you can. What you think of it and what you do with it will be entirely up to you. But don't leave school without it. And never hesitate to invest in your own education. Self-education raises the curve of your potential, often delivering answers beyond your expectations. Emotions. Emotions will either master you or serve you depending on who's in control. Just as intellect requires education, so too do emotions. Understanding how to feel, how to respond, and how to let life touch you is essential. Civilization advances when we learn to manage emotions intelligently. Measure your emotional responses wisely. You don't need a nuclear reaction to emphasize a minor issue. Women in particular possess an extraordinary ability to read emotional cues. While a man may say, "It looks like a sheep, it talks like a sheep," the woman may reply, "It's not a sheep." Empathy, interest. Show indifference to the problem, but care deeply for the person. Be attuned to the full spectrum of human experience, tragedies and triumphs, failures and successes. Bridging the gap between youth and maturity requires empathy, rooted in the simple act of remembering. The greatest gift you can offer someone is your attention. True strength comes from genuine care for others. Remember, you can't mend a heart with an axe. Handle emotions with care and compassion. Business. Business trumps comfort and profits surpass salaries. While a salary helps you make a living, profits pave the way to a fortune. Humans have a remarkable ability to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary, turning weeds into gardens and pennies into wealth. Profit is created when you touch something and leave it better than you found it. Business represents hope for the future and the opportunity to stir things up to achieve greatness. To create a fortune, you must take bold action and embrace change.